Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone, and welcome to Wealth Pathways, the Affluence Science Insights Podcast produced by Alma Tarelli, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Marie Stella, coming to your ears from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's learn together.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Wealth Pathways podcast. My name is Lu, and I'm your host today. In this episode, we are discovering the topic of tax strategies for entrepreneurs, navigating business expenses and write-offs. It's a mouthful, and it sounds very daunting to me personally, because anything that has to do with tax, I'm kind of like So that's why we have our expert in the room today, Alma Tarelli, and I'm excited to talk to her about the topic today. Alma is a money mindset strategist, mentor, author, and speaker. Using over 22 years of experience in tax accounting, working for Government of Canada for 3 years, she helps visionary women master their money. Founded in personal growth and practical strategies, Alma brings clients cutting-edge money wisdom, forward-thinking mindset tools, investment strategies so they can break through their money ceiling, reduce financial fear, detach from the old money story, and increase their income while saving in taxes. Thank you so much for joining us, Alma.
Thank you so much for having me, Lu. It's a pleasure. It's my honor to be here in your podcast.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, I would love to hear more about this story because, you have a very impressive background. Seems like you've been doing this for a very long time. So I would love to know how this all came about and why you chose to do what you're doing.
Hello again. My name is Alma Tarelli, and I was going to say how many years I've been in accounting, but I don't want to tell you how old I am. So, but I will tell you that I have been quite a while, around 20 years actually in accounting. And originally I was born and grew up in Albania. And Albania was under a communist country. And I moved in Canada 20 years ago. And finished university, started working here for the government, Canada Revenue Agency, which is the equivalent probably of IRS in States or even in Internal Revenue Services in Australia. And I became passionate actually about the money mindset. That's what I'm working right now, not only with small businesses entrepreneur and filing their income taxes, but also looking at the mindset that most of the entrepreneurs have around money. And I became passionate because I have to tell you from what I've seen from all this experience is that lots of people have limiting beliefs around money. And from my work, I have discovered that these limiting beliefs come from childhood programming. If you heard all your life that money doesn't grow in tree, or you have to work hard for money, or rich people are corrupt, you are not going to have money because you are programmed that way. And the second aspect is modeling. We usually take after our parents, usually same-sex parent. And sometimes clients say, no, it's not true. I'm nothing like my mom. But if you look at it, you are actually adapted quite a little bit of money beliefs that your mother or father had. And the third one, we all have a story. And usually is a high emotional, impactful story in your life. You all have it. Some people would have divorce, some people will have death in their family, alcoholism, etc. And we associate that story all our life with all our beliefs that we have around money and relationship, etc. And so I had a sad story, unfortunately, when I grew up in Albania, my family was deported. And so that story affected me not only in regards to my finance, relationships, self-worth, etc. And so even though I was an accountant, it doesn't mean that I knew a lot about money. That's where my work started to become very interesting, because I started seeing the patterns in my clients. They work really hard, yet they don't succeed. Especially small businesses, 95% of small businesses, they remain small businesses all their life. So what is the reason why they cannot break that ceiling? So that's where I'm more passionate about this work. And we were going to talk about tax accounting, but I'm passionate about the money mindset because I have seen some wonderful changes and transformation in my clients. I would shortly tell you that a client of mine that I mentored recently, she's well off. However, she keeps several bank accounts. And I said, why do you keep so many bank accounts? She said, well, if something happened to a bank, then I have another. And I said, but if something happened to a bank, will happen to all the banks. Why are you keeping money separate? And then I said, what happened to your parents? And then she told me that her parents grew up in depression. So at any time, something can happen. That's the belief that she has around money. So I am super passionate about money mindset right now. And all my tax clients are becoming my money mindset clients. So I'm passionate about this work. I have co-authored 2 books also in Amazon, and also a gratitude journal, 12 steps to programming your mind. And this is all from my experience. Everything is experiential. How did I change myself coming from a poor background to where I am today?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that story and for sharing your experience with people that you've worked with and your clients, especially. You know, it's always encouraging to hear real stories, right? Because I think it's not something that you hear every day. Like, obviously, you would probably hang out with a circle that's very similar to you. So, you know, learning from different backgrounds and experiences and stories would be really empowering. And thank you for joining us today. Once again, I'm excited to discuss today's topics. And I'm sure that, you know, our audience are keen to find out more about this, you know, the money mindset that you're talking about, and also tax strategies, you know, because you've been in this space for so long. Before we get to that part of the conversation, we would love to get to know you a bit better. And we have this section called Have You Met Alma? Now, I'm going to ask you 5 questions about things that you love, things that inspire you, so that we get to know, you know, what you consume in terms of content. So first of all, you're a co-author of 2 books, and, you know, I'm sure you probably read a lot. So what's your favorite book?
I do. Oh, I have so many, but my favorite one that I always read and reread is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm not sure if you have read it or not, but it beautifully captures the idea of pursuing your personal journey with courage, faith, and an open heart. So what is it about this life? It's discovering yourself, right? And so in that book, every time I read it, it inspires me. I also recommended it to my youngest daughter. And my favorite quote from the book is, if you really want something, the whole universe will conspire for you to have it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's interesting you share that. And I don't know, maybe it's on theme for today, because previously we had another recording earlier in the day, and the guest talked about the exact same book. It's for another show for at LMSL. So not the same show, but, you know, for some reason,
or maybe
both of you like
it's
the
a
same.
call-in. When you hear it twice, maybe it's a call-in for you to read. Maybe you'll find something useful for that.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, I think it's a sign from the universe that I need to reread it, because I have read it before, and I think it's time to pick it up again. You know, it's always good to reread, you know, great books. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, just a great coincidence for the day. Now, the second question I would love to ask you is, what's your favorite movie, or, you know, a recent favorite?
I said I'm more into books than movies, but I have seen, I'm into classics more, but last week I saw with my youngest daughter the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. And it's a powerful reminder of resilience and the strength that it takes to overcome adversity. The main protagonist, Will Smith, I'm not sure if you see the movie or not, but I was moved by his unwavering commitment to his son. And also chasing his dreams, but these are both qualities that resonate with me deeply. Like, my children are my first. They always come first, and then other things. So it was a beautiful movie. I ended up crying. And my daughter is like, "Mom, you're crying." It moved me. It was a beautiful movie.
Yeah, definitely. I think I just watched this movie last year, or maybe earlier this year. I can't remember exactly when, but quite recently. And yeah, like, I totally agree with you. It's a moving movie, and definitely a classic that everyone should watch. So I wonder if you also, because you said that you're readers. I'm not sure if you are a podcast listener.
I do. Actually, when I drop my kids to school, I usually listen to podcasts or Audible, one or the other books. I do enjoy the Ed Millett show quite a bit. And his approach to self-mastery and business growth is so inspiring. He always invites people, and the people that he invites are people that they push the boundaries and they redefine themselves. So that's what I noticed. I really enjoy his show. And it's also in the line with the work that I do. He's all about mindset, growth, business, and so on. I do like.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And now I have listened to your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for the shout out. And yeah, I was just going to say I haven't listened to the show you mentioned yet. So that's a new recommendation. We'll definitely put that on my list. Thank you for sharing. Now, I wonder if you have a role model in life, or perhaps multiple role models in life, and who would they be?
I do have multiple role models, but spiritual models, I would say, there are a couple. Louise Hay, I was very inspired by her work, and Wayne Dyer. Dr. Wayne Dyer, I'm very fond of his teachings on spirituality, self-reliance, abundance, and all his teaching has profoundly impacted me. Something beautiful that he said when I was in the midst of the work, or in the books, he says that money is an amplifier. If you're a bad person, you do bad things. If you're a good person, you do better things. Because I've noticed that most of the people say that we don't want riches. We don't want to be rich because we would look bad people, or we are corrupt. And when I came across this work, I'm like, it was like a light bulb for me. And I said, no, actually, money is an amplifier of your personality. If you're a good person, you would do wonderful things in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? You would grow your business, you would hire more people, you would open schools and healing center and so on. So money simply amplifies your character.
Yeah, definitely. I love that, that mindset and that way of thinking. Thank you for sharing that. Finally, last question in this part, I would love to ask you about a course that you've taken that has really inspired you in life.
I would share the last two. Last year, I took an Akashic Record course, and I know it might sound a little bit weird because I'm an accountant, I'm all about numbers, and yet I'm talking about spirituality. And the other course is the NLP. Have you ever heard about neuro-linguistic programming?
No, I haven't.
So this course, now I'm getting very passionate about it, has been incredibly impactful because it transformed the way that I understand the subconscious and the conscious mind. So our subconscious mind is 95% in our brain, and 5% is our conscious mind. So when people say be conscious, they're saying with the 5%, you want to affect your 95%. It is not that easy. That's why people do what they do, because you are wired a certain way. And so with through NLP, I have found tools that I incorporate in my mentoring for people to change their beliefs around money, around their relationships. and they have specific tools. And this guides me how my clients can break their limiting beliefs, how can they change their mindset, and so on. It's a wonderful and powerful course. It's packed with actions. What can you do daily, right, to change your mindset and your beliefs? So it's a powerful, powerful course.
Wow, thank you. That's definitely a new thing for me. I didn't know about that. So I learned something new today. Thank you. So now that we've got to know you a little bit better, let's talk about today's topic. Everyone's been waiting for this.
Waiting.
Yes, especially entrepreneurs tuning in. They might be very keen to hear, what you have to say about, tax and money mindset and so on. So first thing first, let's start by defining affluence. That's what our show is about. So I would love to know what your personal opinion about this topic. How do you define affluence personally?
So the basic meaning of affluence is all about wealth. Personally, I do not think that money or wealth is everything. It is really important though. So to me, affluence is being affluent in 3 areas: physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And also affluence has not only to do with the materialistic, but also the emotions and your spiritual work. So fundamentally, if you're affluent, you'd be affluent in these areas with your family, with yourself. Self-development especially is number 1. You'd be affluent in your relationships. You'd be affluent in your career. So it's a combination of all. That's what affluent is for me. Affluence is for me. It's not only about money. I've seen lots of clients that have made lots of money and they are very unhappy, or they have broken relationships. And I would not consider the client quite affluent. So affluent touches and tackle 3 areas: spiritually, physically, and mentally, but also in all areas of your life. And as humans, we only look for these 4 categories: relationship, family, money, career, and also yourself, which would be self-development would be number 1. So that's what affluence is for me.
Oh, I love that definition. It's very holistic, and definitely the self-development part is something we often overlook, because I think in our modern society right now, there's a very strong emphasis on generating wealth. And this is in terms of money.
I have seen that tendency. Yes, I have seen that tendency, and I want to say this to all the viewers. Yes, it is very important, but where does it start? From yourself. Once you work in your self-development or change your limiting beliefs, then money comes, and you don't even have to chase it. You simply attract it by raising yourself higher and higher. So for me, self-development is number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we're all here, tuning into podcasts like these. I'm sure, if you're here listening, you're here because you want to develop yourself further and learn more. So, learning is the number 1 thing, to develop yourself, right? And to help with anything else. So, talking about affluence and all of its related areas, for you have mentioned a lot of different areas besides money and besides wealth. So I would love to know from your own perspective, what do you think people tend to get wrong when they think about affluence?
They think about money as physical. That's and they chase all their life. And I will tell you quickly, there are 3 rules to affluence or to money. The first one is, if you chase it, you never have it. If you try to control it, it will control you. And also, if you live in fear of not having enough, you'll never have it. And so this is what people get wrong, and there are so many limiting beliefs that I have seen in my work. Actually, I have discovered 100 limiting beliefs that people have around money. And another aspect of it is that we were programmed to believe that working hard will make us money. And that is not true. And I'm not saying that you should not work hard, but what I'm saying is that I've seen my father work all his life. We were extremely poor. See, working hard not necessarily will bring you money. Working smart, it will bring you money. And I'm my husband is an alcoholic. My father was like, I grew up with people around me that work all their life. And I am like that too. Like, as a matter of fact, if you ask my children, do you like taxes? They're, no, we don't like taxes. And we don't like tax season because mom works so hard, you see? And so I also work so hard. However, we have blocks. We have blocks about money and about affluence in general. Yes, we want money and we never have it. We don't behave as we have the money. And we also come across as beggars. Why don't we think that money is the birthright for most of the entrepreneurs? When I actually tell them it is your birthright to have money, which kind of God, who's that God that doesn't want you to be prosperous? Huh? Because most of people have a background from a religious background. There is no God that doesn't want you to be prosperous, right? So the money or the affluence is your birthright. And if you have money, you do wonderful things in this life. So people get it wrong because they have so many limiting beliefs that cannot break through this ceiling. And there are so many other limiting beliefs that people have. But what I've noticed, these are the main one, the programming from childhood. If in the first 7 years of your life, you constantly heard that money doesn't grow in tree, you have to work hard for money. And I grew up in a society that being miserable actually was praised. And if someone says you're happy or rich, you are condemned. See, it's really hard to change those beliefs unless you work with your subconscious mind.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard so much about limiting beliefs in recent years, and it's definitely an eye opener. What can happen when you change your mindset and you shift the way that you think about certain things, especially money. I also resonate a lot with the story that you told about, your background, your upbringing, your family, and people around you. And, I started to reflect a little bit on that for myself as well. And I think the thing that I noticed the most is this lack of knowledge. For example, and to talk about today's topic, right? We're talking about tax strategies for entrepreneurs. Now, I know that a lot of people out there, especially for our audience who are tuning in, they might want to start a business, or they are already starting a business, but they are finding it's really hard to navigate this, and that's probably because there was no ground knowledge about this, and no one has talked about this before, because not everyone studied tax or accounting, right? So to help our audience understand this conversation, what exactly is income tax, particularly for entrepreneurs, and how can they understand it better? Like, what are the certain things that people tend to miss when it comes to income tax?
So here is the thing. In one sentence, the tax is a levy that the government imposes to an individual or to an entrepreneur. But what I tell my clients, because most of the people are fearful about taxes, and actually, being fearful of taxes in itself is a limiting belief. So people focus on so much about, oh my God, I have to pay so much taxes, that actually keep them small. I do have a couple of people that they don't want to work more because the more they work, the more taxes they're going to pay. And so in itself, this is a limiting belief. But if you see it in a broad spectrum, and I'm not advocating for the government right now. See, I am a partner with the business owners. But the thing is that we have to be conscientious of the fact that the taxes are part of our economic framework. How are those roads built? How are the washrooms, public facilities? How is the electricity or pipes? They're all part of the income tax system. And in Canada, we have a higher taxation law than anywhere in the world. So what I tell my clients is that taxes are there, they are not going to go away. You will find a way to navigate it. And opening a business is extremely beneficial for any individual. That's why I highly recommend them to open a business and to work for yourself, because you can claim so many costs there in the business. So to recap it, so it is a levy imposed by the government, but it is beneficial for the common good of all.
Yeah.
if you are fearful of taxes, that's a limiting belief. Instead, shift your paradigm and focus on the income. Make more money, and you'll find ways to go around the taxes. In other words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. This is actually really interesting because my partner's also in accounting, and he's talked about, like helping his clients with taxes. And he told me stories about, people having really high incomes, but because they have strategies to navigate this and just putting money, in different streams or, just kind of move around how they get paid, they reduce their tax by like 200%, for example. And I was really surprised. I was like, how's that possible? That's crazy.
That's really, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why you need an accountant. But quickly, I'll tell you, in April 30, when we have the ending of tax season, I have two types of clients in exactly same economical situation. One of them would call and say, Mrs. Tarelli, I'm so scared and I'm so fearful because I don't know. I think I'm going to pay lots of taxes, and please tell me. So this is someone that lives in fear of taxes. And then I have another client of mine says, call me in advance and says, Mr. Tarelli, I know I'm going to pay taxes because I doubled my income. What can we do? Do you see? So this is all about the mindset. What is your approach? If you're approaching your taxes or your money with fear, you'll never have it, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's important to, to kind of help our audience understand this better, to perhaps help some people get over that fear and change that, into a strategy and critical thinking mindset where, we find ways to work around it. So how can navigating this, as particularly tax policies, help with long-term wealth management for our affluence?
Okay. So let's suppose, I am going to make this short and sweet. Let's suppose that in your paycheck, you get tax deducted for your retirement. Isn't this helpful? It is a tax, correct? But this is helpful. It's your retirement. Or if you have health plans, it is, again, for you. Or if you have educational in the taxes. These all help. So as soon as you change and you shift your paradigm, then the saying that I'm planning to pay these taxes, and this is where all the tax money is going, you can create a good financial support that will actually support your long-term vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that is when taxes are understood and leveraged correctly, can actually be quite powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think one
in
thing to
managing
note,
wealth or finances, they can be quite powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say, one thing to note here is obviously each nation has its own set of rules and regulations, right? So obviously it's not going to be like a one-size-fits-all sort of approach or solution. And I think it's important to have knowledge and or support from accountants, right? Because I think it's hard to navigate this by yourself if you don't have any background and knowledge, and doing this in the wrong way might have a lot of different repercussions that we do not want to have, especially for entrepreneurs, right? Starting out is already hard and we don't want to get into trouble. So I think one thing that I've heard from a lot of entrepreneurs is that, they are creative, they are, they have a lot of ideas and they want to start out, but they just cannot deal with admin. They have a lot of expenses. They don't know how to track them. Some people just sort of go with the flow, right? They keep all the receipts and whatnot, and then they just never track that properly. So if someone's starting out or if someone's really struggling with this, what would be your tips for them to start tracking their expenses and making sure that everything is documented better?
Suppose that you are good at services or you have a product and you want to start today a business, right? Let's most of the people do. I want to start today, and they start the business. You should have called your accountant yesterday. And why do I say that? Because first of all, it's not only about the business that you are going to do. It is so there are 6 fundamental steps in launching a business. Let's say you have to think first of all about the nature of your business. What is it going to be? Is it going to be a sole trade, sole proprietorship? Is it going to be a partnership? Is it going to be a corporation? What is it going to be? It's not simply, I want to do this and, so having a team around you, like having an accountant, having a lawyer consulting about all the fees and the licenses that you need, it's crucial in starting a business. And I know lots of people say, but why do I have to pay money to the accountant? Because you are going to miss so many costs, and you probably end up having more liabilities. And I also tell my clients, with the startup cost, you always should consider as an investment. You are considering them as an investment for you. Everything that you are going to do, from researching the market and so on. So it's really helpful that you have a team. And you mentioned, Lu, that most of the business owners, they put so many hats. They want to do admin work. They want to do manage social media. They want to do some bookkeeping and so on. It doesn't work like that. However, I do believe that you have to be in a good terms with an accountant. In terms of how to track the expenses, there are so many accounting software. I'm not going to recommend any of them. I am fond of the QuickBooks. I'm not sure what you have in Australia, because you can track everything in timely fashion. You can track everything anywhere in the world. You can open your books and you can see. So keeping the expenses in a digital software is a wonderful idea. I have noticed with most of my clients, and again, this is another limiting belief that I see, that they are scared of numbers. Oh, I don't know how to do it. Oh, please, here, get a stack of papers. And you probably notice with your finisher too. And you do the taxes for me. It's not only filing taxes, right? You have to be aware, even though you don't know, let's say, much about financial statement. I'm not asking you to do that. Well, all I'm asking is that basic revenue and expense, and you should be able to recognize where is your money going, right? So these
absolutely.
are the strategies. Build a team around you, have a system, like a digital system, so you can have like consistency, accuracy, and then a clear system for keeping all the expenses, budgeting, and so on. This is very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that everyone can probably learn from, not just entrepreneurs, because we all have individual income taxes anyway. And I think developing a good habit of keeping track of expenses and income, when, let's say, you're working 9 to 5 right now, like me, keeping track of that is already like something that can be very helpful to form that habit in the future. When I start my own business, I'm going to take the practice that I learned now to the next stage, right? Right now, I have a very simple system. Like I just have 2 places, and I don't keep a tracker per se because I don't have that many expenses, but I do have a label on my inbox for expenses for the financial year. And I also have a folder on my computer. I call it adulting, because it's adulting. And, I just chuck all of the documents related to that financial year in that folder, because some things are not on email. So, at least I have 2 places where I can keep track of that financial year, and then I send everything to my accountant, and then that's done. So I guess that's the starting point if you're doing your like personal income taxes. I know some people are even more rigorous with their expense tracking, like they have their own tools or spreadsheets and stuff. I don't do that, but at least I do something.
Yes. Yeah. So there are lots of digital products. I also have made my own, a simple spreadsheet in Excel, and I give it to clients because I do have some clients that are on the older side, that they don't like this digitalization. And so I have prepared a simple spreadsheet. This is what I need, the totals, and I send it to them. So it is very useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, expenses tracking is one thing. And then on the other side, obviously, there's that knowledge about, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. And when it comes to startup costs, like you were saying earlier, and also other business expenses, it's a whole other thing for entrepreneurs to wrap their head around, because it's going to be very different when you're just, working 9 to 5 versus when you're, managing your own affairs in terms of conducting a business. So I guess the question here is, what would be some of the things that entrepreneurs can keep in mind, as tax deductible costs when they start up their business?
Well, there are several of them. I can mention a couple. The first one would be market research. When you start a business, you do lots of market research. The second one would be professional fees. This is also important. And another one would be advertising. You are going to advertise your business. So these are the main one that comes to mind right now. But again, coming back to that, what I recommend my clients is that you consider them not as cost for the business, but as investment for the business. Once they have this shift, then they are more open, because I see lots of people that they don't want to spend money because they are fearful of, I don't want to spend money, I want to do this for free. And by talking to a professional, it will be an investment, because you know what to do, in regards to the licenses that you need and so on. In your first step, you need to open an ABN, Australian Business Number, don't you?
Yeah.
Am I correct? How are you going to do it if you never talk to a professional accountant or to a lawyer? Or you need the GST that you have to file quarterly. Most of people, they don't know that. So there are several steps, like all the expenses. And I have two types of clients, actually. One of them, they want to claim everything in the business, and some of them, they don't claim enough, right? So I have clients that they want to claim the personal expenses as business, and then the government can easily audit you for that. And then the other one, they don't know that they can claim the car, the insurance, the amortization, or home office expenses, and so on. So it's really important to talk to a professional. That's it seems like I'm beating the same drum, but please talk to a professional before opening the business, because it will help you in long run, and also consider that as an investment rather than a cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's a good mindset, because once you have decided to start your own business, obviously you have to invest so many things. Your own time is one thing, but other expenses would be considered investments especially in the startup stage, right? And it's important, like you said, to consult a professional, because starting off on the right foot is really important. I also think that another thing you were talking about earlier that was very interesting to me, which was the aspect of, some people claim too much, some people do not claim enough, right? And in this conversation, we were supposed to discuss, all of the business expenses, the write-offs, and the deductions and things like that. So what would be some common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when they start, claiming expenses and write-offs?
So most of the small business owners, they want to claim their personal expenses as business, and it doesn't go well, But what I recommend them, on top of, having a team, an accountant to tell you exactly what you need, I recommend them that they should keep separate accounts, like a personal for your personal expenses. As soon as you start the business, day one, you keep a separate account for the personal expenses and a separate account for business expenses. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, you will avoid the misconception, what is personal and what is business. Again, with my clients, I give them ready a spreadsheet of what I'm looking for, if you have a home office expenses, how much you can claim and so on. Some of my clients, they want to claim 100% of the home office expenses. It doesn't go like that. Your home is not your office. You can claim up to 20% and so on. So keeping separate bank accounts, it helps. And having clarity of what can you claim and not. If you have a system, you will be successful in what to keep and what not.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, first and foremost, educate yourself and consult a professional to know what to do, right? Because you were talking about the traveling expenses. I think you mentioned car as one of those. And, sometimes for entrepreneurs, it can be like a gray area because, obviously you use your car to drive around. It's not for business all the time, right? Some people have a separate car for the business, but that's like the next stage of the business. Obviously, when you're starting out, you're probably going to use your own car. So, how do you navigate situations like that?
Keeping a clear system, actually.
Yeah.
When I used to work for the government, I remember clearly that what the government was looking actually was a lodging, like the kilometers that you use for your business and so on. I know now some clients, they also want to claim the vacation, and it doesn't work like that. However, there are ways around that. You can actually claim vacation if you have all your family as in the board of directors and so on. But that is a topic for another time. And so there is, if you have a digital system and you are clear on what you're putting there, you can keep track of all your receipt, of the kilometers, of every single thing that you need for the business, basically. And then the accountant will do the work and figure out how much you can claim in each of them. But keeping track of the expenses is really important, not only for the tax purposes, but also for yourself. You have no idea how many clients, when I tell them, open your bank account and just look, do not do anything, just look at your expenses. And then they come and they say, oh my God, I was not aware that I have so many subscriptions that I don't use, so many courses that I purchase and I don't, or so many restaurants. I noticed, especially with, the young generation, they have business, but they spend more than they make. And then by keeping track, you're aware of your cash flow. You see, so that's why I recommend everyone to have a clear system of your income, a clear system. There is no need to know about the financial statement or balance sheet. It is very simple. How much income you make and how much do you spend? It is like simple math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically there's definitely the admin side involved, but first and foremost, you need to, like, I think what you were saying, like logging what exactly you spend on the business, right? So it's not really like mush with the personal expenses. And I think that's probably something that has been a recurring theme in our conversation, where you were saying, like, lots of your clients sort of make that mistakes where, they kind of, they lump that personal expenses with the business expenses, right?
That's right. Yes. There is also another thing that I recommend my clients in the practice, that they should review their taxes quarterly. This will be the best practice to have, especially because they're in line with the filing of the GST quarterly filing, but also so there is no surprises. In the end of the year, if you had a jump of income, there is no surprises in the end of the year. So if you do this practice, that you keep a detailed, organized system and review it quarterly, it will be very beneficial in long run. There is no surprises, there is no fear about taxes, and also you are aware of your cash flow.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. Those are all really great tips. So we've covered quite a bit of theory already, and I think now let's ground our audience in a practice. So let's go into our practice and habit section so that we can talk about a practice or a habit that you would recommend if anyone is starting out. Perhaps this is a new entrepreneur listening to our podcast, or maybe this is someone that has been an entrepreneur for a while, but has been struggling with taxes. What would be a good practice that you would recommend to them to manage their taxes better?
I would recap. If you're starting today, you call your accountant yesterday. And you'll know what to do. What is the nature of your business? If you need a business number, if you need a GST number, and so on, where are you going to be located? What province, taxes that apply to each of them? Having an accounting software is very beneficial, digital one, so you can open it anytime. But the best practice that I mentioned is reviewing it quarterly. This is probably the best practice, reviewing it quarterly. I highly recommend reviewing it monthly, but I know that most of the entrepreneurs are not interested in that. They just leave it the taxes for in the end of the year, right? And so by reviewing quarterly, what will happen that you would be you don't be caught off guard in the end of the year. That would be the first one. The second one, you would identify the deduction. What do you need to keep? If you have to claim the home office expenses, you know that you would keep most of the receipts, right? And then the last part is the cash flow. You are aware of how much you're making and how much you are spending. Mm-hmm. So keeping a digital accounting software is really important for your own personal investment, so to speak. This provides peace of mind for them. This is the best practice. Review quarterly. And not only finances. Just analyze yourself quarterly. You start the beginning of your January to March. What have you done? If you had goals or resolutions, have you reached any? Just analyze yourself. This will bring a certain mindfulness in you. So quarterly review your finances quarter. That would be the best practice for me. Have a great team around you and review your taxes quarterly. Yes, focus on your business. However, because money is quite related to the business, it is crucial to keep track of the expenses. And you will see, the more aware you are about money, you'll see where is your blind spot in your spending. Is it your fear about taxes? Are you scared that you're not making as much, but then you see the expenses going higher and higher? What do you need to adjust? So review your life quarterly, review your balances quarterly, review your taxes quarterly, review everything in your life quarterly. I'm a firm believer that being aware of your habits, it's the first step of change in your life. Does this resonate with you? Isn't it important? Does this resonate with you?
Yeah, definitely. It's not just taxes, everything, right?
Everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that message, and I think it applies to not just entrepreneurs, but, even if you're working a 9 to 5, to everyone. Yeah, exactly. Not even people that are not even working yet. It applies because, we're building good habits, and this is going to help us greatly later in life, right? Because the more we go about different activities, the more responsibilities we have, the more overwhelmed we tend to get. And so reviewing things frequently, at least quarterly, and plan before you do something, like you said, right? If you open a business today, consult your tax accountant yesterday. Pretty much like everything else, right? Like if you're buying tickets to a trip today, well, we should have planned like yesterday what you're actually gonna do, right? Something like that. So yeah, I think it applies to everything, and thank you for that. That's a really great practice. Now, before we let you go, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we've got this section called Open Mic, where you can talk to everyone in our audience with a message, with anything that you're passionate about. So take it away, Alma.
So I mentioned that it's important that you review your finances quarterly. But what I'm very passionate about is that you have to prioritize it. You have to make it a priority. Usually the small businesses, they focus so much on the product that they don't prioritize other things. And you put a block 2-3 hours and review your expenses and where your business is going. But the main message is this, that most of the people think that they really have to work hard for money. And there's no way that I'm saying you don't have to work hard for money, but my point is that abundance is not something that you can chase. It's something that you tune into. If you are 100% clear with yourself about the mental chatter, about your vision, your goals, then you don't need to chase money. It will come to you. So do not chase the money, you attract it. By doing what? By being aware of your mental, your physical, and your emotional state every single day.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for that beautiful message to close with.
There's also one thing that I wanted to mention just for your audience.
Sure.
It is said that most of the statistics say that 95% of small businesses remain small businesses all their life. And so for people that they want to grow, you have to do work with your personal development. You have to grow to the point to change and to shift your energy to grow bigger, to expand. So if you're a small business owner, you want to jump and go to the next level, break the limiting beliefs that you're carrying about your business.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you for that message. Especially to the people that are tuning into the podcast, I'm sure they would benefit greatly from that advice. Thanks again for joining us. I was just going to say that our audience is probably keen to learn more about this topic and probably ask you questions, maybe. So if they would like to follow your work or reach out to you, where should they go?
Well, I'm in LinkedIn. Facebook is another page. almatarelli.com is my website, and I welcome any kind of questions I can answer. For your audience, actually, I can send you a small PDF, 6 steps to starting a business, and I have adjusted to make it Australian, and I can send it to you, and you can share it with your audience.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for your generosity and for helping us out. Yes. So we're excited to receiving that and sharing that with our audience. So thank you.
You've been listening to Wealth Pathways, the Affluence Science Insights Podcast produced by Alma, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes are available from 10 life management perspectives and can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and other podcasting apps available on your devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, share, and subscribe to our channel so that other people can find it and we can continue to provide quality content. More of our work can be found on our website at affluence.lifemanagementsciencelabs.com, where you can join our movement. I'm Marie Stella. Thanks for tuning in.